Well, the Dow is down again as President Trump doubles down on tariffs. Those tariffs have really caused the stock market in recent days to wobble. And a spat over spirits to talk about now. The EU slapping that 50% tariff on American whiskey. So the president threatened to hit back with a 200% tariff on all alcohol from the EU. CBS News MoneyWatch correspondent Kelly O'Grady joining us live on the stream, bellying up to the bar, as it were. Kelly, do you ever feel like you're calling live a fight between the president and other countries? This time, specifically, we're looking at the fact that the U.S. is the largest importer of wine and champagne in the world. Willie sort of touched on this. Break down what these tariffs could mean.
Yes. So for anyone out there that is a big fan of European wine, alcohol, champagne, it could mean higher prices. So a 200% tariff. Let's remember that that would mean businesses in this country importing wine, they would have to pay that import tax, and then they would either eat that, which would be a very, very hard thing to do with it being such a high import tax, or they would pass that on to the consumer. And in fact, I actually spoke with a small business owner this morning in the wine industry. She's a wine importer, and she said this would just destroy that piece of her business because the alcohol consumption in this country is already going down, and that would be such a big cost to pass on to consumers. Now, those high-end wine consumers that really focus on, French or Italian or German wine, they aren't necessarily very price sensitive. It's really about the investment and the taste, but 200% is a lot. Now, I will also note that the president highlighted this would be great for U.S. wine and champagne. Should have said sparkling wine. Champagne is only from France. But unfortunately, they're just based on the soil and the grapes that we're able to grow here, you can't replicate certain things from France or Italy or Germany. What you get in California or other areas of the U.S. is just different in terms of taste. So maybe folks might switch to a different type of wine or brand, but that's really not something that we can replicate exactly in the U.S. as well.
Okay, so for now, it might be not a dry January for some people, but a dry March, April, May. So Canadian Premier Doug Ford, he heads to Washington today. He's talking tariffs with Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. This is interesting to me. What do you see as being on the table for that meeting?
So definitely on the table, this tit for tat back and forth. Remember, just Tuesday, I believe it was, we had an escalation of potentially 50% tariffs on aluminum and steel. That would have been up from 25% that we have right now. And the Ontario Premier was saying, well, maybe we'll even shut off electricity to the states like New York, Michigan, and Minnesota, where we get a lot of our electricity from Ontario. Very important meeting today, both for Canada and the U.S. Of course, we have that very key trade deal that exists between the U.S., Mexico, and Canada. That does seem to be something that could be talked about in that meeting. But it's also very important for this broader trade war that's developing. If there is an agreement to be made and they come out of this happier and potentially with a better trade relationship, that could set the tone for negotiations that the president could have with other countries like the EU. And of course, we have those reciprocal tariffs coming April 2nd. If this is not successful and we have a tit for tat escalation coming out of this, that also sets the tone for those future negotiations. So very important for Canada and the U.S., but also the broader global trade environment coming out of today.
I remember in recent weeks you teaching our viewers that Walmart can very well be a bellwether for our economy. So many people through the doors of Walmart. So I have to ask, as the Trump tariffs take effect, some retailers, including Walmart, are asking Chinese suppliers for discounts to sort of absorb the impact of those tariffs and the blow there. But China is pushing back. What are you hearing?
Yeah, so this is something that we did expect from these larger retailers because of their scale and how much they purchase in bulk from their suppliers. We would expect them to go to them and say, well, you get so much money from us, so really we need you to lower these prices in order to keep prices lower for our consumers and absorb that tariff. What we're hearing, though, is that the Chinese government is not happy about that, and they're asking for more information from Walmart, why they would be pressuring or asking Chinese suppliers to do this. The other thing that I think is interesting is beyond this question of suppliers and whether they might lower the prices, we have also seen China target other American companies like Google and others in the past that are sort of very iconic American brands that do a lot of business in China. And that's another way for them to hit back at these U.S. tariffs without slapping additional retaliatory tariffs on some of the goods coming in from the U.S. So there's another component of this here as well, that they do seem to be putting some pressure on Walmart.
Yeah, what's so fascinating to me, Kelly, is that the American consumer goes to the car lot, goes up and down the aisles at grocery stores or Walmart, and you never really think about the interdependence we have economically with other nations. This is really a time where we can all sort of bone up on that. And I'm glad you're our teacher. Thank you so much. Have a great day, friend.